Hey everybody, these tape tips were originally recorded for YouTube, so occasionally an episode may have a few moments that are better suited for watching rather than just listening. The link to the YouTube video is in the show notes, and if you're on Spotify, you can choose to watch the video right there. Thanks. Many years ago, I was climbing on an incredible 13B at the Motherlode in the Red River Gorge called Cutthroat. Just right of Cutthroat is a classic 13A called Snooker, and that day, the lineup for Snooker was 3 or 4 people deep. And a friend of mine walks over and pleads with the people in line to allow him to jump in front. He says he's likely going to Red Point and he has to leave soon, and even though he lives 2.5 hours away, is laying it on pretty thick. And they let him cut in front of the line. He gets on, solidly climbs through the crux, and arrives at the jug rest just below a little roof and then a bit of a Red Point crux. And he says, take. What? First off, you can't say take at a rest on a Red Point attempt. Second, you can't cut in line and then say take. You just don't do it. But he did. And it's because he was missing the one simple thing that can result in the biggest performance gains in your climbing, no matter what level you're at. And you can implement it right now. If you're watching this at the gym between burns, then literally right now. The best climbers, they already do this. And in my experience, it's one of the things that separates them from the rest of us. And because I'd bet that 90% or more of the rest of us just don't do it often enough. In this video, I'm going to tell you not only what this simple superpower is, but I'm going to tell you what the sports research says about how you can give it an even greater boost. Let's get into it. Now let's be honest for a minute. How many times have you tied in below a root or chalked up sitting at the start of a boulder and thought, or even said out loud, something like, let's just see what happens? Now, a lot of you say that. I've heard you say it. I've said it myself. And maybe that's marginally better than something like, oh man, this is going to be hard. Or, I just don't think I have enough left. Or worst of all, oh well, it's always another day. But it's only marginally better. And I've said all these things too, so have you. Or you might think that some sort of positive self-talk or affirmation like, I'm going to give it all I've got. Or, I've got this. Or even, all right, let's just do it this time, is the best way to go about it. And that's certainly a step in the right direction, but it's still not quite there. On this channel and on my podcast, we've talked a lot about the things you can do to improve your movement, your strength, your tactics, even your response to failure. And we'll continue to talk about those things because it's all important and we all want to get better. But when it comes to performance, there's one simple change you can make that might very well produce the biggest gains in your climbing in terms of how many hard things you actually get done. And like I said, you can apply that simple change right now, whether that's to your 511 project or your V15 project. And if it's something you're not already doing, then I guarantee it will be more effective for your climbing performance than any amount of fingerboarding that you can do this year. And that is set an intention. And yes, occasionally just seeing what happens or trying your best results in doing a climb that's hard for you. But I guarantee you that the person who pulls on every single go with a specific intention is getting more done. So it's simple, right? Just set an intention and pull on. Video over. Not exactly. Let's just see what happens and I'm going to do my best are essentially intentions. We can do a lot better than that. I've been reading a lot of the research around goals and intentions because I'm in the midst of a deep dive on how we can set better goals. If you want more info on that and eventually get access to a free goal setting toolkit, you can do that by signing up to our monthly newsletter, The Current. Link is in the description. But I recently came across the term implementation intention, also known as if-then intentions. Now, put simply, you add a sort of checkpoint and effect to your intention. If I get to that jug rest, then I'm going to try to send. And that's pretty good. It gives you a sort of en route cue to reinforce your intention to keep going to the top. But we can still do better. Sending is the outcome, and we want to stay in the process for longer. The outcome is absolutely important, but you can't skip steps and still get there. So it might be better to say, if I get to that jug rest, then I'm going to try my hardest. This gives you the en route trigger, but also gives you something to control afterward, your effort level. You can't control whether the send happens or not. You can only stay in the process, in the trying hard for longer. However, the research indicates that the more specific the if-then intention, the better. Usually, and we'll get to that. So if I get to that jug rest, then I'm going to try my hardest to climb well and stay on the wall is probably even better. Now you have the en route trigger and a clear directive for afterward. But I think we can take it one step further. If we start by asking, what exactly is it that might cause us to not react that way in the moment without the cues, then we'll know how to better construct the intention. For instance, if my friend had left the ground saying, if I get to that jug rest, no matter how pumped I am, then I'm going to try my hardest to climb well and stay on the wall, he'd have had a much better chance of success. The fatigue at that rest stance wouldn't have gotten to him the way that it did because he was already anticipating the fight he might have. He wasn't focusing on it by saying this. He didn't say, oh man, this is going to be a major fight, but instead he was focused on getting to that rest. And then once there, he could have checked in, recognized the fatigue, and had his answer at the ready. Research also shows that physical fatigue greatly reduces our cognitive ability. So we don't want to spend time and energy up there reasoning with ourselves and doing the mental gymnastics it might require to not just say take. Instead, have your response ready to go. I'm going to try my hardest to climb well and stay on the wall. Now, this can be applied to the hardest single moves on the shortest boulders as well. Let's say it's a hard boulder with a low percentage, really precise 2-move sequence. We might be tempted to say, I'm just going to try hard, or the time and battle-tested grip it and rip it, which, again, might work. But if you apply the same rules, which are stay focused on the process while on the way to the outcome, recognize the limiting factor and anticipate it, and give yourself a trigger moment and then a controllable action. Then maybe it's more like, if I hit that first hold, no matter how poorly I have it, I'm just going to put all of my effort into making it work. No more of that, oh, I just didn't have it right. This way, you're giving yourself a much greater chance. Now I know, you think you have to have everything perfect to do this really hard thing. But how many times have things gone wrong and you've still done the thing you thought needed to be perfect? If you've been climbing for a while, then I bet it's a lot of times. We usually have more margin than we think. And now, I want to address a question that I know is going to come up. Wouldn't it be better to say something even more specific like, if I hit that first hold, no matter how poorly I have it, I'm going to tighten my core, pull my elbow down, push hard off my right toe, stare down the big span, and latch it? Well, the answer is no, probably not. The research is pretty clear that if-then intentions either result in no change to the outcome or positive change to the outcome unless you try to control individual motor sequences. Then it often results in a negative change in outcome, at least at first. It'll often eventually level back out and can move back into the positive, which suggests that it can be an effective learning tool, but it's not so good as a performance tool. Now, the research has also shown that athletes who use an effective if-then intention often perceive the difficulty of what they're doing differently. For golfers, the hole appears to be bigger. For basketball players, the hoop grows. So for climbers, it's not unreasonable to think that the holds will feel bigger and easier to use, or the chains will seem closer than they actually are. And like I said before, there's not really a downside, and it's ridiculously easy to add into your process. Every time you pull on, have an intention. And when it's moved past learning and into performance, use an if-then intention on every single attempt. It's likely that means you'll have fewer attempts before you send. Thanks for watching or listening. In the show notes, you'll find related links, videos, and episodes, as well as how you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter, The Current, where we connect the dots to help climbers learn, grow, and excel.